And welcome back to the LCS Countdown, where an LCS insider let me know that every single analyst, yes, every single one pleaded, begged even, that they participate in the first Jeopardy Dash of 2021. Well, I got good news for the three of you. You won that lottery. Mark, I can see the excitement on the face. You've been chomping at the
I'm so
bit
excited, yeah.
for me to ask some very complex questions.
This is my favorite segment.
This week's questions are about newcomers in the league. So you have a theme, all right? The first question is, who is the youngest Golden Guardians rookie?
Niles.
I'll let you guys. We got a Niles call for Primal. I'm going to wait to give you the official answer until I got a guess from all three of you. Sorry, Alorum, who'd you go for?
Iconic.
Iconic and Mark.
Your
Your options are Blaze,
I'll go.
Iconic,
Yeah.
and Niles.
Yeah, I'm going to go Iconic. It might be a Blaze. He was pretty young, I thought.
Okay. And the answer is Niles. Primal is correct.
Yeah, I just did
21
one.
years old. He's 21 years old. And while his birthday does still make me feel very old, I'm just glad that he was born in 1999 as opposed to 2000. Something about that 1 year makes me feel just a little less boomery than I did prior. Question number 2. Who is the youngest player to ever debut in the LCS? So their age in their debut game of the LCS. Now, you don't have to give me the age, but who was the youngest when they first played in the LCS, historic?
Pobelter.
Alorum thinks Pobelter. That's a good guess because he was a
That's a
guy
really
who was
good
hyped
guess.
up even from the
That's a
age
really
where
good
he was
guess.
ineligible to play. So I like where the logic is there. Mark,
Yeah,
Primal?
I think that's a good guess, and the only way it would lose would be like some weird, like someone's birthday was just like before, but they both entered as soon as they possibly could. I'll say contracts to spread things out, though I do think Pobelter's probably the right guess.
I think that's another very clean guess when you look at contracts who came in at a very young age. Primal, where's your head at?
Wait, that's so BS. He just hedged. He guessed one thing is like, but I don't think it's my answer. What?
I do that all the time. That's how I always have an out, no matter how wrong I am.
Okay.
He still has to commit to contracts, but
Okay, it's fudge, but it's probably Pobelter.
I love it. I love it.
guys
My
are so
man.
slow.
Hey,
You know what's up.
Here's the thing. All three of you are wrong. The answer is
Oh,
Oh, he was
Altec. Yeah.
Altec was actually the
Johnny.
youngest player to step onto the LCS stage at 17 years old and 14 days, as you can see there. I can't even imagine playing at that
Okay.
high a level at that age.
Pobelter and Altec were actually teammates on Academy or Challenger teams back then, amateur teams, because they were too
Winter
young
Fox
to play.
too, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they both play on Winter Fox, if I recall
They did.
correctly? Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
so,
All right,
yeah.
question number 3. We're moving right along. Is Alphari's CSD, recent LEC import, is Alphari's CSD higher or lower than it was when he was in the LEC?
Are we counting this week's game?
We're talking lock-in tournament CSD at 10 versus his 2020 LEC summer performance. So we're isolating summer.
His 2020 summer was 14.1, I believe, and I think it was higher through week 1, but I don't remember if he gapped top last. I don't. Think
I'm going to
he
go
gapped
with
top.
no.
I'm going to go with no. I think he actually was
same.
down in CS.
I mean, last I checked, his CSD in LCS is like 29. There's no way it was higher in LC.
No, okay, so we've got lower and lower for Mark and Alorum, and we have higher for Primal. Primal is correct. His CSD
It's
in the
still higher.
lock-in tournament is 15.5. But Mark, you were incredibly close on the summer LEC CSD call-out at 14.5. So yes, he has eclipsed it by 1 CS at that 10
Damn.
mark. He is
I ate a bagel.
destroying. He is destroying top laners so far here in the LCS. I think we're moving fast, so we've got one more question to go. This one is, who was the first recipient of the LCS Outstanding Rookie Award?
Whoa. First.
Yeah, this is tough because you have to remember when the award was introduced as well.
See, I don't even know that. I have to take a guess. I'm going to go with contracts.
Okay, we got a contracts vote.
I
Mark?
think it's contracts also.
Mark looks disgusted. And in
I have no idea. Do I get a hint? Can I phone a friend? Can I ask the audience? Like, what do we got
okay,
here
well,
for people
so
who are?
if I
I have
give you
nothing
a-
right so far.
Yeah, if I give you a
I'm
hint,
obscure.
I will give you a hint. I will give you a hint, but this also means, Alorum, you can take another guess if you want. The hint is that the award was given in 2015.
2015.
Whoa.
Okay.
So who would have won Outstanding
Those are
Rookie
blurred.
in 2015?
The years go by so fast, I don't even know.
Yeah, who was even playing back then?
I know,
actually
right?
half a
Yeah. Now
decade
you're like,
ago.
oh my goodness, this like half the league, more than half the league was different. You want another hint?
Sure,
Yeah.
keep them coming.
This player is still an active player in the LCS. So they have not retired. They are still an active player in the LCS.
Didn't help.
CS or Academy?
In the LCS. They are an active player in the LCS. They won Rookie 2015 spring.
I've
given you everything.
Who was good then? TSM was still good. So who was the jungler for TSM?
Hey!
Was still good.
No, it's definitely not TSM.
Was it Santorin or was it?
Yes, Mark,
Amazing?
you are correct. I'm just gonna jump at it. It was Santorin 2015 spring. You only needed 14 hints to get there. I'm so proud of you. Well done, gents. But I thought it would be kind of fun to look back on a lot of the rookie numbers, historically, because it seems like in a lot of ways that's kind of the theme of 2021 is the new faces to the LCS. Will we see some of these records broken? Who will be the next rookie to take home a trophy of that degree? But, of course, we have a couple series ahead of us, and I know people would probably like us to talk about those as well. So let's turn our attention to the first series of Lock-In. We've got the Academy squad from Immortals taking to the stage after going toe-to-toe with FlyQuest, however, falling just a little bit short. They're enormous underdogs, Primal. I think that's something that can't be avoided here.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an everything gap. Honestly, if I'm Immortals, I'm just looking to have a strong performance. You know, we saw Joey pop off one game. Maybe he can recreate that magic this time. But at the end of the day, you got one of the strongest teams in the tournament, round one of a knockout. There's no shame in not advancing, but I think they just want to put together a performance that they're proud of.
And I'm getting a little bit of deja vu here. Immortals putting in their Academy team after the first.
Oh, no.
Where have I seen that before?
Where have I seen this? And is it going to work out this time? Because last time, I don't remember it going so well. But
you know what they probably need? They probably need a Malphite in the top lane, Alorum. That's probably what they need. Yeah.
And they played that. They played that yesterday. I saw Tapoon on the Malphite. I'm sitting in my chair, like pumping my fist. Yes, he's doing it. So I'm glad that they're doing that, and I'd like to see Immortals play like these kind of straightforward, engaged team fight comps. I think they have a rough road coming up ahead of them, so they need to stick to the basics and try and just out-team fight their players, the enemy team, because their players are not bad, of course. They've got good mechanics. I just want to see... I want to see an upset from my old boys Immortals.
Yeah, I think we'd all like to see at least 3 games, which means they'll have to at least take 1. But I like where your head's at. Keep it simple. Keep it solid, a lot like they had yesterday. Just execute a little bit better in the mid to late game. But it is going to be a tough task going into this best of 3 as they face a tournament favorite in 100 Thieves. I mean, they seem to be the squad who can deliver on the much-repeated adage of someday would be a monster if only he had a team around him. Well, what's the verdict, Mark? Does he finally have a team around him?
Yes, he does, James. I think I'm super excited for this lineup. As much as I want to see the Immortals guys have some big upsets, in a series, it's going to be really tough because everyone on 100 Thieves is playing well, especially the core of Golden Guardians, where everyone was like, ooh, are they going to be able to support someday? Is somebody finally going to gel? It looks like it. I mean, they're top 3 in most categories in every position so far in Lock-In. I mean, Closer's been great. Demonte has the highest KDA. He is absolutely incredible. It's been back and forth between him and Core JJ. FBI is first in DPM. This whole lineup is grooving right now. So I think the answer of does someday finally have a team is a resounding yes.
I mean, you take a look at these stats as they roll across the bottom of your screen for the 4 members that came over from Golden Guardians. Basically, in every statistical category, 1, 2, or 3 in their positions. And then I think, though, Primal, the conversation needs to be turned back around onto Someday, the individual that we keep talking about. He has a storied history in the LCS at this point and very high expectation, but now he's got to follow through.
He does, and there recently was an interview between Someday and Ashley Kang where Someday was talking about watching other players going to Worlds and feeling bad about that. Well, now there's no excuses, right? And I actually think there's a bit of a pressure on Someday because arguably this is the best top lane lineup that we've ever seen in NA with the introduction of Alfari. So Someday, he's a really good player, and I think he has a really good team around him, but I think anything below top 3 at the end of the split would be a disappointment.
Yeah, especially when we've talked for so long about, does he have the team to support him and this kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, now you do. So this is the other half of the equation. And it's important to remember, Someday is really, really good. Everyone constantly talks about how incredible he is. It's about proving that now and going out there with the support that he has and actually stomping people in LCS consistently with how tough it is now with Alfari coming over, Impact still looking incredible. It's going to be a really tough league.
Now, Primal said top 3. Alorum, where do you land on that conversation? Like, what would you consider success? What would you consider follow through on that, kind of promise for someday?
I'd agree with the top 3 statement. I'm not expecting and saying if you're not number 1, you're garbage. But I think it's pretty easy for Someday to have success here because, as we all know, he's already been such an incredible top laner for so long. And with the cohesion from the other 4 previous Golden Guardians members coming over to 100 Thieves, how can he not do well? All he has to do is stay the same. He doesn't have to do anything extra anymore. It's just he's got a full, complete team ready to go with him. So you slot in that Lego, you put in that RTX 3090 into your computer, and it's running even better than before.
What do? You fishing for sponsorships over there, bro? What's going on?
What was that?
It's a commercial in the middle of the show there. All right, well, I think we've teed up this matchup about as much as we can. No surprise to anyone that this is considered a David and Goliath matchup between an Academy squad for Immortals and the behemoths that are 100 Thieves here at the beginning of the split. But again, as always, it's up to the teams to put it all out onto the Rift and show us what they got. Let's hand it over to Freakin' Azale for Game 1 of the day.
Thank you, Dash, and welcome to the cast. We've got a best of 3 today, and as you mentioned, Dash, yes, it is one of the absolute favorites for the tournament. 100 Thieves definitely look outstanding. They've been really good, and on the other side, it is the Immortals Academy roster. Now, they are an Academy team. They are a 2-0 Academy team. They have won a game on the LCS stage as well, and this may be doable for them.
It's possible, right? It's going to be a very uphill battle. It's 4 seed versus 1 seed from the lock-in group stage. It's a team that is, one of the favorites for the whole tournament versus literally an Academy team, like you said. But we did see them play a close game yesterday, right? Now, what I want from them is a lot of what Alorum was saying he liked from them, right? Like Malphite, great. Easy ways to engage. They played Malphite Gragas yesterday, and if it weren't for that throw at Baron, honestly, they probably would have won that game. Yes, their opponents made some mistakes to put them in that position, but they went for an easy to execute composition. They played towards team fight, towards stacking dragons, simple win condition, and I think that is a smart way to do it. Already though, 100 Thieves looking like they want to spread the map, going towards TF. I think that can be a strong answer towards teams that just want to group and do one thing, is to draft winning solo lanes, try to split the map, try to make your opponents have difficult decisions to deal with. So I'm already kind of liking what 100 Thieves is going towards, but I still don't think that should dissuade Immortals from that style of game plan. And with Seraphine, with Hecarim, you have go buttons, you have team fighting already in your first 2 picks.
And I've been a really big fan of Seraphine so far at this split. I think she is super duper strong. I'll be honest and say that I am shocked more teams are not playing more Seraphine. I understand this believed meta is you have to play engage down in the support role. You need to play a tank up there, but Seraphine has engage, and you can get your other melee champions into the fights. You just have to build other melee champs into your team comp. So Hecarim is there to make this happen, and now you've got, in my opinion, an overall stronger draft. So I'm a fan already, but Immortals have locked in. A lot's going in back and forth really, really quickly. Lucian picked up here for Pretty to be the answer to Monte's Twisted Fate, and I think this is a good beginning to what could be an Immortals upset win.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to remember there is a possibility that Lucian could go to bot lane, but we are expecting to be mid lane, pretty much only where you're seeing it these days in competitive. But I agree. I like this style of composition. I tend to agree with your point about the engaged supports. I do think you can go melee jungler. I do think that there are great tanks in the top lane right now. You do not have to go with this more strict ranged power farming style, out of the jungle or even out of the top lane playing bruisers and fighters and whatnot. You can just go Malphite as we saw them do yesterday. Gnar getting banned out here. I think Volibear, we saw that in an LEC, but we brought that out in a loss, I believe, but that can work. There are different approaches here. Even Ornn, I'm totally fine with. But of course, it is scary when you're Tapoon and you're going up against Someday on a dominant pick. The Renekton plus Nidalee combo is very, very powerful. I don't think it's quite as good as the one with Taliyah, but it is still incredibly threatening. And Hecarim is not a strong early jungler, so you already know your jungler is not going to have priority. You already expect Closer to be invading potluck, having pressure. So I could understand if Immortals don't want to go to just an automatic lose lane style top laner, but I still think that might be their best chance. It's just kind of seed the lane, try to withstand the onslaught in the early game, and then make something happen later on. Because even if you go to a carry here that's supposed to be a good matchup, well, with TF and Nidalee in your lane, it's not a 1v1.
True. All right, Leona going to be locked in. So Seraphine is going to be either playing farm bot lane, which I really think is very, very strong. Seraphine Leona is a really good lane. You've got a ton of CC. You've actually got pretty good damage overall. And I would not mind an AD carry with some self-peel. You're realistically not easily getting away from your FBI if you're something like Jhin or Ashe. Like, the skill shots are going to land on you, and it's going to be really tough. I would not mind something like a Xayah. Even a Sivir could kind of work with spell shield and whatnot, but Zyracon going to come through. This gives some more directed engage to the team with Thresh off the table and Leona taken away. Rel's gone. You know, there's some kind of chances there. Do want to see now what the top laner is going to be here for Immortals. We did see Ivern top. It wasn't outstanding a little bit earlier this week, but who knows what's going to happen here in this one.
And Wonder did play it today and won. It didn't feel like he was really that much of a part of the game, to be honest with you, but it was in there. This is like the most 1v9 Lucian comp ever. This is really interesting. So I think it's Karma top is my assumption, that it will be Karma top to just kind of deal with the Renekton. I think that we are going to see the Moonstaff build from the Karma top just go straight up full on team fight. This is the most group and fight style composition pretty much ever. No one wants to split push. No one wants to be in the side lanes. It's double enchanter. It's go button with the Leona, go button with the Hecarim, and everyone buffing up Lucian, who has got to have a good game now. Pretty must be strong to be amplified by these two enchanters and really kind of make it worthwhile. Yes, you could be buffing up Potluck there too, but it is low on damage if either Potluck or Pretty have a bad game. So their early game is important. On the other side, we have 1-3-1. We have early game dominance with the jungler, and we have, to your point, a great marksman for absorbing that engage, for Xayah ulting when the Hecarim ults in, to immune that fear, to avoid that fear and be able to pull the Pethers through. And obviously they have some good go buttons too. So they're going to try to be splitting the map, but I like what Immortals drafted here. I think it's super smart, you know, given the mismatch as far as team skill. You have a way to win very clearly here.
Absolutely the case, and it's going to be fun to watch. And you know, apologies if I'm focusing a little bit much on the red side. I am a sucker for underdog victories, and so like there's part of it that, like, really wants to see if it can work. Again, I do think Seraphine's really good. To bring up Tapoon up in the top lane over here with the Karma game, this is a guy who actually has played a lot of enchanters in the past. He's got 4 Soraka games all time. He's played Lulu over there. This is going to be his 3rd Karma game of pro play, and he's only had a few years of competitive play, all down in the OPL. So you know, a decent part of his champion pool is playing enchanters up top side to help things work well. And so this should be pretty comfortable. Now, am I expecting Someday to win the lane? Absolutely. We saw Someday play Renekton against Quinn, against Niles, and it looked easy for him. He went down 8-ish CS, and then every gank became a kill. And then he was winning for the rest of the game, and Niles was useless on the Quinn. Karma has a better fallback pattern than Quinn does, so even if we had the same situation of Someday lane kingdoming and closer showing up with the exact same Renekton Nidalee, there's at least a fallback pattern for Tapoon. But yes, 100 Thieves are an outstanding team. They have one of the best junglers in the league, maybe the best top laner in the entire league. They have a mid laner, and you know, their bot lane is one of the very best in the entire league as well. Like, this is really good. They have a mid laner. I know. It's the, you know, it's the meme where you're like, Someday thank closer you know, and like to skip over. Or either way, this is going to be a very fun match. Both team comps are very good. 100 Thieves are an outstanding team. They come in as favorites. They come in expecting to 2-0. Fans expect to 2-0. They've got champions that suit their players as well. And I want to see if it's even going to be that back-to-back 25-minute wins that people think coming in, or if Immortals, really Immortals Academy, 2-0 in Academy, sure, could surprise us and make this closer.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a banger. I'm excited for it. We've got some great casters and Freak to cover the game now. So in we go. And already I like the clever level 1 here. It's not gonna amount to anything, but I like these types of plays. You know, Immortals is just doing a 4-mana stack over by their red buff, expecting an invade there. We do see that the level 1 W on Rakan, you can use this to go over, and then what you're trying to hope for there is you're actually catching someone camping out at the blue buff, right? And I think those types of invades are worthwhile. You mix those in, and it changes up how your opponents have to respond, how your opponents have to, you know, consider what you could be doing at level 1. In this game, nothing does really happen, but at the very least, they do get a ward over by that blue buff, so they'll be able to track Hecarim a little bit. when he does come down towards that bottom side. But Hecarim is going to be starting leashless on his red, whereas Nidalee, who already has the much faster clear, is going to get a leash. So this is going to kind of slingshot Closer quite a bit ahead of Potluck already, and I want to see if he can get anything done on this first clear. If he can try to steal away some camps, if he wants to try to invade early towards that blue buff perhaps, as they have a ward there.
I like the sort of T's crossed and I's dotted by Immortals here at the early game. Potluck drops his ward down early on in front of his red buff. Right as 130 comes around, Joey drops one down as well to make sure Nidalee's not doing red to blue. Red to invade blue, I should say, doing that vertical jungling with the steal. So Potluck is okay. I'm going to be safe down here. I want to be level 3 and bottom side, right? Skip some of the slower camps. Wants to be available if there is a skirmish down there. I mean, Leona Rakan is very volatile. Xayah and Seraphine don't have escapes early on in the game. Pretty comes in, says, okay, we know what happened. We see late chickens. We know Closer's path. It was a full clear bottom side. Hey, by the way, Top Hoon, this means Closer's going to be up there in about 20 seconds. Get ready for that. Potluck doing smart things by, blue and Gromp at the same time. So, lot of smart things so far right now by Immortals. I mean, you expect them. They are professional players here. But right now, it's, hey, be careful, because Nidalee's going to be top 10 pretty soon, and that could be a big fight.
Yep, and we'll have to see how Tapoon is going to manage this wave, right? Because he did bounce the first wave. Now, ideally, I think he just wants to let the wave, push against him, and then perhaps if it's a big stack wave, you have to be protected on the dive. But you need this wave to actually come out, and Someday has it frozen at pretty much the perfect spot because Tapoon is in this spot where he wants to get it fully reset, but it's kind of stuck in this neutral position, and it means Tapoon could be in trouble. But Pretty, nice,
just out of range, not getting knocked up. Wow. I mean, that's pretty important. Demonte would have kind of a hard time chasing through. One of the big things is Pretty has cleanse, so a flash gold card would never do anything. You would just cleanse perfectly and still get away. So ultimately, no play to be had, but now a fight in the top side, because Someday is going to set up here. Close is coming around. Tapoon's going to find the root, but he's stunned. That's going to be a javelin coming in as well. There's no real need to flash pounce. I don't think you have lethal damage anyway, so Tapoon gets away from the first gank of the game. Still a full 6 camp clear for Nidalee. Top scuttle available to be taken as Potluck takes the bottom side. And, the first few ganks do not come through, but we are seeing 100 Thieves active on the map.
Yeah, and at the very least, they reset the wave, and they can actually zone Tapoon off some of this. You can see that he's missing out on all that experience. We haven't engaged on this bottom side.
Good chunk of damage, but the root goes back through into Joey, and realistically, just so much durability. I mean, this is the power of Guardian Rakan, is you have double cast of E plus Guardian is, I want to say, about like 320 health. In just the very early game, which really means that, ability powerless chunks just don't do a whole lot. Top lane now actually in a weird spot as Tapoon TP's back in. Closes nearby, but maybe can keep this lane in a spot where Someday will get denied. It's going to go into the turret. Tapoon, I guess, unwilling to kind of tank that wave in front. Yeah, Someday may have TP'd back. He's still in my ICS or two. Ultimately, just going to keep their farm going.
And if you know that the jungler could be up there, it's always risky because, at that point, Someday has half health. You can't burst him down as the Karma. But even if you just get stunned up by Renekton and speared by Nidalee and nothing else happens besides that, that's a big chunk on your health right after you TP'd back. So Tapoon already pretty behind off of that initial play. He did miss out on some of the experience as the wave crashed, and now the wave is again pushing away from him. This is, a champion with a decent fallback pattern, as you were talking about, but he is grasped Karma. He is going tier first. We'll see exactly where he does go after that. But for now, you want to be staying ahead in these Enchanter versus melee matchups, because it can get to the point, when they get some sustain on someone like this Renekton, where they're just sustaining through all your damage, they're ignoring everything you're doing, and then they have full control over the lane.
A little bit of damage there, the empowered Q. Someday still ahead overall. You can see CS is equal, but he's got an extra 7 CS to take in front of him, so we are still expecting Someday to win this lane. Par for the course, it's Someday. He's going to win basically every lane. Can't wait to see the Alphari games down the line. That's going to be a fun one, I think, in the future. But we've got Closer so incredibly active. Potluck is still in one camp, but Closer looking for a potential bot lane dive. TF coming in as well. 4v2 in the bottom lane. They find a slow. They're going to find the double knockup, and that's going to be first blood already to Closer, who he jumps out of the way. They're going to be just fine. Joey left alone. New gold cart, new dive, new kill, new double kill. Beautifully done by 100 Thieves, and this is why everyone has him at the top of the table.
That was perfect. The double knockup from Huhi. As soon as that didn't get flashed, it just felt like Immortals was accepting their death. I think the call was there's no way we can actually get out of this. Keith doesn't use his heal. Neither of them use their flash. They accept their defeat, but it is the double kill going over to Closer. It's the early ultimate, highly effective here from Damonte. This was just perfectly done as they corral him into the corner here. Keith and Joey stacking up as they try to retreat, and who he finds that point blank double knock up. The gold card was already there. They tank up the tower. They realize they can redive, but they reset the aggro first, so Damonte can have it on him at range, not going to have any risk of getting killed off there in the redive, and that was just flawless from 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
They have a bot lane worth playing towards, and they're doing it to perfection.
Really beautiful stuff. So 1,600 gold lead to 100 Thieves so far, and it's probably going to grow from here. Top lane is already winning. Bot lane is certainly going to be winning now. And hey, Closer got 2 kills, so 700 gold into his pockets. He's going to be bigger than Potluck. Going to win pretty much any duel thanks to the extra double amp tome on top of that one, and not a lot of plays going to be available. Keith is farming. His CS is okay.
And one thing I will say that is positive is, despite the fact that the double kill went in Italy, he's been ganking. Potluck did get a free level 6. So his experience has not really been set back whatsoever. Closer hasn't really done any counter jungling. He may do some now. But Potluck has just been comfortably farming. And the early game for Hecarim is pretty garbage. So, you know, in a lot of games in pro play, you'll see Hecarim in this type of matchup really kind of held back, having that level 6 delayed. So Potluck has gotten there. He's not going to win the skirmish, as you said, but come team fighting time, he'll have the ultimate online, he will have double enchanters behind him, and there is potential still for him to be very, very effective. But, you know, Immortals are going to have to be able to even find those team fights because...
Might fight. Nope, going to be Closer picking it up. There could be a battle down here. The Ghost is popped by Potluck, but there's not going to be a battle, so Closer finally does get counter jungling in. Oh gosh, Keith is pretty much out of this lane now. Yeah, you have to sidestep it. All right, he's going to stay alive, but... I mean, that is suddenly a wave you're going to lose under your turret as you walk slowly back in. Closer knows now that he can solo this Ocean Drake. No one's going to be around him anymore, and so more victories across the board for 100 Thieves.
And you have to remember that because there's no early dragons that have been taken from Immortals, they have limited ways to force 100 Thieves to actually come to them, right? You know, they are losing on the bottom side, their bot lane got dove, Nidalee is ahead with the double kill. So now we have to look 20 minutes into the future as the earliest possible soul that they could threaten, right? And that is a way that you can get 100 Thieves to come and actually 5v5 you, because 100 Thieves, they could take the first dragon or two and then just not group and not fight you at those dragons for the next, 20 minutes while they split push you to death with the TF, with this Renekton that Someday is piloting. So Immortals are going to have to find a way to actually make 100 Thieves fight them because they really don't have to.
Ooh, yeah, somebody who comes in the last second says, I might get killed here. Freddy flashed to get a couple more ult shots to land. That might have been the kill, so heal burn for safety. Top laners again trading back and forth. Someday pretty much equal in farm right here, so they're just going 0-0 on both sides, and this may work out in the end. Again, team fight power obviously can be very good for the Karma.
Yeah.
Look at the gold, 2.5.
I think Tapoon's doing fine. He would be doing better had he not actually gotten ganked, right? It was Closer that kind of made the difference in that early laning phase. He's doing fine. You can see that the Rift Herald's just going to be soloed up. They know that they can't really contest on this top side. And one of the weaknesses of Seraphine, plus Leona especially not at level 6, there's not a lot of threat of actually all-inning and killing off FBI, who has level 6 on the Xayah, who has the cleanse, so even if you landed that Seraphine ultimate, nothing really going to come from that. So it gives Huhi the ability to just kind of roam and move around the map and threaten on other sides, help set up that Rift Herald without really any cost. And as a result, they're having very efficient plays, and the gold lead is just expanding.
It is. And I'm also concerned about what the late game is going to look like here, as the two sort of mages on the Immortals team are going supportive build paths. It's either some mix of Imperial Mandate or Moonstone Renewer. I actually am a huge fan of Leandry's on farm Seraphine in the bot lane. And ultimately it's because there's just not a lot of overall magic damage on the Immortal squad. Yes, Karma does some. Yes, Seraphine does some, even if they go Moonstone. But it's not enough to change itemization, and it means if you get to armor stack on Someday, he likely just never dies.
Yeah, and we'll see if that does end up actually coming in. Traditionally, we're not seeing a lot of armor built up, by Renektons these days, but I do think, against this style of composition, it can be worth getting something like a Bramble and Tabbies at the very least. But You know, I agree with you. It is a comp that is very AD heavy because of the builds, right? You know, there is going to be some mixed damage in, but that's not really going to be the role that these guys are playing. They're going to be, you know, using the ultimate on Karma to do the mantra shields, not really mantra Qs, generally speaking, in the team fights. And we're going to be seeing a lot of the empowered abilities spent more on utility generally from Keith, right? It's going to be the empowered shield. It's going to be the empowered root rather than just going for pure damage, both with the build and just the playstyle. So they will be pretty low on the AP damage, but I still think that their 5v5 is going to be pretty powerful, and there's a lot of squishy members over on 100 Thieves. So if they can execute on the team fight, if you get onto Nidalee or TF or even the Xayah, you can kill those guys off, I think, pretty simply, but it's just if 100 Thieves will ever give them a fight, because that is feeling more and more unlikely as the game is progressing. 100 Thieves have full control. They have a huge gold lead. They have the first dragon. They're taking the towers. And I think that the only time Immortals is going to get a 5v5 in this entire game is when 100 Thieves is so far ahead that they think there's no chance they can lose it.
And they get to start a Baron and turn when it's time, and who he just presses R and then W, and then they take the fight victory. So we've got a battle of this red buff right now as supports and junglers are here. Huhi and Close are going to look for this battle. 1 level lead. 400 Thieves means they might win this fight. Fight is going to be picked up. Here comes the engage. And TF over the top. It's going to be 3v3 pretty soon, though. He fears on the back line. Double stun comes across, and what is on the board for Immortals? Sadly, Joey has to secure the kill. That means the gold is not in the right places, but at least there is a death for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, they get the kill, and they got the TP as well as the ultimate out of TF there, I do believe. So it's not that cheap of a death for them. You know, nicely done from Immortals to be able to fight back a little bit in their jungle there. But Heart of the Thieves continues to march forward. No one up in the top lane right now to answer someday, so some minions probably will be lost to the tower. They've already taken down the bottom tier 1. You can see that the mid tier 1 is getting poked at, and now the top probably going to lose a plate here to someday, you would assume. The Mythics are coming through. Night Harvester done. Gale Force done as we watch this one more time. Closer does land the Smite, and then they go for the engage knowing that they actually had TF back in the mid lane there, and Xayah is roaming up. But it is pretty coming across with what was, you know, very effective culling. Potluck barely getting out, and the culling coming across on that lockdown target. Joey has been, I think, you know, a pleasant surprise throughout the lock-in tournament. I think he's been really solid on the roams. Playing well across a number of different engaged supports and just locking up Demonte there for Pretty with the culling, and does end up taking him down.
Sure. But quietly, the gold lead is 4,000 with the second Drake being taken right now. Someday still doing completely fine in a mostly uninteracted lane. It's been a pretty much straight up one-on-one top side. Okay, they're turning equal, okay, whatever. Jungler side, Closer obviously got the double kill bot lane. He secured both dragons. He's now actually up 3 camps for Potluck, so well done to Closer. Yes, TF prints free gold, but he's also up 3 waves. Bot lane's up, you know, some farm. And just overall, especially with all the plates being taken down, that Herald crashing bot lane, by the way, all that gold went to FBI. I mean, they're just rich, 1,400 gold, like almost half the lead, almost a third of the lead, just on the AD carry. And this Xayah is, you know, easy going to take over. Not that he even needs to, because they're winning everywhere.
Yep, did get the benefit of that Rift Herald down on the bottom side to get him that tower gold, and that is definitely a concern. You know, I talked about it in draft when you go for these kind of buff up 1 or 2 carry style compositions. Those carries have got to be worth buffing up to really get the most out of it, as they're looking for a dive potentially here on Tapoon. But we'll
going to miss a couple of CS down there, but yeah, we'll see if there's a dive. I mean, now with 3 of them there, it's going to be pretty easy. It's going to be the aggro pulled up, the flash in to guarantee it. Down he goes, easy pick up, and now Joey, nicely done by Closer, gets the blast plant in time, so Joey can't hop away, and Closer is on a killing spree, 3-0.
3-0, and they're going to be able to give another tower solo gold to FBI. He got the kill on the dive. They're leaving him up there to collect even more gold. Even if Pretty is getting buffed up by multiple members, with this type of a gold lead over on FBI, it may not matter. He's likely going to be more effective. You know, he's nearly 2,000 gold ahead of the Immortals mid laner at this point. He is going to be insanely strong. The gold lead now 5.5k at 15 minutes. Yeah. Immortals with no dragons in sight. No way to force the 5v5 that they are building their composition for. At this point, it feels like you just kind of pray, maybe at the 3rd or the 4th dragon, that you win a fight and hope you can get something done from there. But 100 Thieves are just running around, controlling the map, controlling the pace of the game. Joey is trying to match this roam here, trying to defend his top laner that he knows may be dove, but their Immortals just don't have enough members up there. So 100 Thieves can leave 3 members to dive him with Closer on the side, zoning out any potential reinforcement. He gets a kill on one side, his team gets a kill on the tower on the other. nicely done.
One thing you mentioned with the 5,000 gold lead, one thing I sort of realized recently when looking up a bunch of season-wide stats is very good players in farm lanes get about 400 gold per minute. Okay, hold on, we got to fight down here. It's Renekton taking some damage. By the way, he's got a Gore Drinker, he's got the W in Potluck. Doesn't get much done. Nice little attempt right there. Hold on, they're still scuffling. And I'll get back to the point. Looks like they're going to be safe yet again. So, you know, a top performer on a top team, someone like, you know, a Bjergsen or a Jensen or a Doublelift, gets about 400 gold per minute over the course of a season. So if two teams are 400 gold per minute apart, such as here, right, where it's you know 5K at 15 minutes, like 300 and change, that's a full player's worth of gold. Like there's just a sixth champion with items on their team. That's the difference. Sure, the
extra Doublelift
itself is not there, but that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that is pretty severe. This game is not close thus far. I'm just really curious of when Immortals are going to pull the trigger here. They are looking for Someday, but he is a tanky lad.
He is a tanky lad. He's going to get feared back, though, and this is a lot of damage. Gore Drinker heals onto one. He's going to take some more shots, and he's going to go down. That's a nice pickup there. No stun to be landed. Immortals get back 1/10 the gold deficit.
It's nice, though. They get something back here, you know, to be able to stem the bleeding somewhat. You can see, though, Damonte is up on the top side, pushing up there. FBI is pushing mid lane. 100 Thieves are playing the map. You're losing your jungle on the top side, so it's like, yes, you've got a kill on bot side, but you're losing minions mid, you're losing minions top, you lost your jungle top. So the gold is probably, like, even at best for Immortals off of this, plus there is lost experience because you were not actually collecting all those minion deaths. So overall, the play is probably negative for Immortals, unfortunately, because of how well 100 Thieves are playing the map and pressuring on all sides. I'm going to be interested to see if Immortals are willing to actually fight at this next dragon, because while they did kill off Someday, you know, he's going to have his ultimate back. It did cost Pretty his flash. We'll see if that's where they want to kind of try to make their mark on this game.
Well, right now you've got the wave being cleared to the mid side. 35 seconds until this dragon comes up. That's going to be the time we're really looking for here, as Keith has okay wave clear on Seraphine, but this is still going to be a bit of a siege. FBI does not want to burn his ultimate. Trading ult for ult Joey would, I think, generally be kind of a negative. You want to kind of hold on to that one a bit longer for the big dragon, so play it a bit safely, make sure you stay out of range, and we're going to have the play come in pretty soon as Herald is summoned because there's not much else to do. You might as well get that last little bit of pressure towards the mid lane, maybe get the wave down just in time so that if they don't want to lose their turret, they've got to stay. Otherwise, 500 gold goes in, and the dragon goes in afterwards anyway.
Yeah, and you can see that Taboon is going to have to actually TP to mid lane here. He was trying to answer that top wave, but they lose their mid lane power. They're losing minions in bot because that was pushed in by Someday. 100 Thieves are just out macroing them and now looking for the fight potentially.
Joey stunned. Ult goes off on a 2 from Seraphine. Here comes the dive out of the backline. A big shot comes in. They shut down one. This is the comp they want, and now it's time for the healing. Can they drain tank the entirety of 100 Thieves? And so far, so good. They one-shot one, and the health bars go back up. This is the value of the Renewer builds. It is less burst, but it is going to top your health bars if you get the one shot anyway. And Closer could not get a stopwatch off, could not stay alive. 1 for 0, and Azale, you called it. They did go for the dragon, and it worked out.
That was huge for Immortals. They absolutely needed to win that fight to stand a chance in this game. They are still very far behind, but that does give you that glimmer of hope that maybe every 5 minutes you show up the dragon and you win a fight like that. So Joey, unfortunately, going to get picked off here, looks like. Maybe not.
Yeah. Okay, gonna get away, but now Potluck is back in for Someday. Finds some damage team over the top, though. Is it gonna be enough? Someday, fairly tanky, but durable enough as Potluck goes down. Damonte is huge. Lich Bane's in, gets the burst.
Yeah, nicely done by Damonte, backing them up. It looked like Immortals might have been able to chase them out. And now with that kill on Potluck, it could be time to head over towards that Baron. There's a lot of pings there. It is just 20 minutes, but they're TPing in, so they're committing to the 20-minute Baron here. Immortals absolutely must stop this from going down, and we'll see if they can do it because, you know, we may just see who he looked for the turn. He doesn't have his ultimate, but he does have Flash W.
Controller comes down to spot this. The Baron getting lower and lower, still pushing it down. Of course, Potluck cannot be here, so when does the engage happen? When can they land the CC? Is that 3K? That's a bit too much. Charm goes off onto only one. They dive the back line, can't find the kill just yet. Hui stays alive. Keith gets the shield back on. They're going to keep healing, but Joey should be going down. 2K left, trying to go closer. He smites for health. He smites for health. Can it be a steal? It is not. It's going to be a whitewash. It is a complete slaughter as the kills come through, and the last hit comes through onto Baron. Potluck can only walk in and say, hey, where'd my team go? Corpses all around.
That was a little bit of a risky play there from 100 Thieves, you have to say. Going for the 20-minute Baron in the face of your opponent's closer, having to smite for health. Multiple members with almost no HP remaining. I don't think they needed to force this hard. They probably could have just pulled off and actually turned for the fight. Because look at Closer. He actually gets stunned up there. And I think that if Immortals committed a little bit more to killing off Closer after this zonies, maybe they can make something happen, but they just couldn't get past, or at least didn't commit enough to getting past here. Tapoon flashed in, tried to finish off Closer, but he heals through that damage, and then Pretty is not there in the pit to follow up. They couldn't finish him off. They couldn't finish off the Baron. I mean, at the end of the day, Damonte barely lived to that Baron damage. Closer actually died to the Baron. And it was down to anyone who auto-attacked it could have actually taken it there at the very end. So very risky stuff from 100 Thieves, you know, with an enormous lead. But with that, they've all but secured the game. I mean, they are just so enormously ahead at this point. 8,000 gold lead. They have the Red Bull Baron. They have all their item completions coming through. Most of their members are at 2+ items now at this point. And it feels pretty impossible for Immortals to come back at this point.
It is a best of 3 here in the quarterfinals. Not only do we have this match today, but the one right afterwards as well. So stay tuned. Even if this one ends, we've got more games to play. But game 1 of this BO3 is very decidedly going towards 100 Thieves. It's almost like 1,000 with the line break, the way you can see that up there in the top left corner. It's just, you know, as though there's like bad CSS and just word wraps over. But either way, Immortals are going to do their best to hold on. We did see their fights earlier. They've got their double Moonstaffs in as well. So I know people love Moonstaff. It's a very good item. The move speed's outstanding, but you really don't love AP on Lucian or Hecarim. Though it probably still is correct, it's going to feel a little weird because you're not getting full value out of those stats. Bot lane being pushed in. FBI going to try to get that down to half HP. Waiting for the siege to continue on. Still 50 seconds on this Baron.
They're looking for the sick AP Leona ults. That's what they're going for. You know, we all saw the Silas stealing the Leona ult at Worlds and getting that massive Leona ultimate, so that's what they're going for here. But 100 Thieves, I think, just really had an intelligent draft, especially into what I was expecting from Immortals and what Immortals showed with the first couple picks. They have the ability to play the map. They're looking for an engage here.
He has a Zonius, though he cannot easily die. Here comes the knockouts back and forth. The Trump's going to go across. Good Zonius by Closer stays alive. Who he going to get away? The stun is too early from Joey, but he flashes anyway. So Potluck's on the way out. The re-engage comes across, and down goes Keith. Down goes Joey. Down goes Potluck. 3 for 0, and all Tapoon can do is run away. But he's been gold carded. He's going to be stunned up, knocked into the air. The Monte's on a killing spree. 13-5 the scoreline. And Pretty is going to hope he can keep his face that way because certainly he's not going to win any battles here. Damonte goes to put a punch into him, and that's going to be him running back away. The Nexus is open with the turrets only. Inhibitor is gone. Lucian has to run away. Little quizzical Gromp, and yeah, it's game over. It is, in fact, a sub-25-minute victory. The time I think we all expected. Game 1 goes to 100 Thieves. We'll see how it turns around in game 2.
100 Thieves absolutely dominating in this first one. And what was that final fight of the game? Pretty wasn't even there with them, so they're hard committed to that fight. They felt like they needed to try to get the pick on Closer. I don't blame you in that situation. You are so far down, you must get some type of a pick to survive that Baron. So they took their swing. They did get one team fight where they were able to win that one team fight and get the dragon, but that was pretty much the lone bright spot for Immortals the entire game. 100 Thieves outlaned them, they out-macroed them, they moved around the map better. They really kind of just outthought them, I think, with the composition and just straight up outplayed them. This was not a close one. I really liked the 100 Thieves draft. I think Immortals made a lot of sense. I like their draft too for what you're working with. You are just somewhat outclassed by your opponent here. It's an academy team versus one of the best LCS teams. So you want to go simple. You want to go easy to execute. But at the end of the day, when your opponents are that much stronger and are drafting an answer to it, it's really, really tough. There's just not a lot of ways to beat a team that is playing that much better than you.
Yeah, and hey, you know, top lane equal, mid lane, the farm was pretty close, but there was a level 6 dive in the bot lane with Twisted Fate and Nidalee timing their push together for the 4v2 dive. And okay, yeah, a better team. Maybe scouts us out a bit more. There were some control wards, but no one ready to answer it in time. And, well, that's double kill in the bot lane. Okay, well, there's no more bot pressure, so Dragons are stacking. So you can't force team fights. So where's your way in? Because you don't have any control over bot lane anymore. It's certainly, again, a very well-played game by 100 Thieves, 1-0. And people are expecting that game 2 goes pretty much the same way. I still liked what I saw out of Immortals. They are an academy team. They had a 2-0 start. They even beat 100 Thieves Academy themselves recently enough. So, hey, they are kind of clawing their way up. But, yeah, it's a lot of growth to go. Sure, a lot of these players have had a lot of experience. Keith's been playing for years. Pretty's been playing in the Tier 2 European scene for 5 years now and making his way over to North America and going to, kind of competing up on here as well. So, I am curious how much more growth there are for these players, but there's a really good chance that before too long we're saying, all right, see you week 1 of the spring split. Hope you got your full roster together.
Yeah, and they are still waiting for that. I believe it is Xerxes that they are missing. They did tweet that they have 4 out of their 5 intended starting roster for LCS, but those guys are going to be practicing separately, trying to get ready for LCS, trying to get in shape for the spring split start. So they were going to play their academy team for lock-in. We'll see if they can turn anything around in Game 2. Going to be interested to see what the adaptations are in draft.
Will be fun to watch for, so we'll see you pretty soon. After the break, the State Farm Analyst Desk will break down that win for 100 Thieves. See ya.
I didn't order any pizza.
Jake from State Farm. After you saved me so much dough on insurance with that Parker promo, I devised a promo for you.
Here's the deal, Parker. State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
Yeah, right. Pepperoni pockets, an atomic brownie, cuckoo crusty.
There's no promo, it's just great rates.
And a cider ranch. You're the man.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hello and welcome back to the LCS Lock-In Tournament. So far, things going to chalk with 100 Thieves taking a victory in this first one over the Immortals Academy squad. Crumbs has joined us on the desk, the Prophet himself. Sad we didn't get to you before the game started to see what the prophecy had in store in terms of the results of the games today. But just coming to you first, how does Game 1 match up with what your expectation of this best-of-3 series would be?
Really well. I thought 100 Thieves would come in really strong. They were focusing around the mid-jungle synergy of the Nidalee Twisted Fate, and they were on point when it came to invading the buffs of Immortals. They never really let up, as you can see from that gold graph. And to both, everybody had pretty good damage numbers, so there's no one member that really stood out above the rest. I think it was just a good team play from 100 Thieves.
And I really like both these teams' drafts. I think for 100 Thieves, they got a lot of their bread and butter champs like the Nidalee TF and having to be able to make plays in the bot lane or in the top lane, just being able to play the whole map. But for Immortals, I actually thought it was really cool what they went for here. It's basically a protect the Hecarim kind of composition. The difference is instead of having a control mage in the mid lane, they put their marksman there, and then they put what would be one of their supportive mages in the bot lane as Seraphine as a carry position, and then the Karma in the top lane. So it was a really interesting composition and how they got there, but actually not that like weird when you look at how it's going to function as a 5-man core.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I like it as well. I like that this is a team that's trying stuff as well, bringing those mages into the bot lane that I know we've been waiting to see a little bit. And so for a team that is considered the underdog in the matchup, Alorum, I mean, is this what you think the proper approach is, even considering that they just took a loss?
This was a very simple comp to run, but when you get behind in this kind of comp, you only have one thing to do. And so a lot of people would be wondering, why didn't Immortals look for more proactive plays? But unless you have the Hecarim around, what can you do? They have one player on the team that can actually go in and do the damage that they need, which we saw in a team fight later. This is the ride the horse comp. You've got the Karma Shields and you've got the Seraphine. You have to charge in with him, and if that doesn't work, then it's doomed to go next.
Go fast, pony boy. That's the whole goal there. Sorry, Crumbs.
I think it's a great strategy because at the end of the day, you have an Academy team versus an LCS team that got one of the most stacked rosters combined with Someday. Like, you have to try something to throw a curveball at 100 Thieves, so I don't mind that you experimented, even if it meant that you had to be playing a death ball most of the time.
The curveball was thrown, but 100 Thieves still managed to land the hit. You mentioned how DeMonte and Closer link up together to get the team ahead. They would do that in the bot lane, but I do also want to take a look here at one successful team fight from Immortals, Alorum, to understand what you're talking about in terms of their potency when they do execute on the team fight correctly.
Right, so this is the one time we saw them all 5 together and go for that team fight. And when you can buff that Hecarim, he's a really strong front line because they don't really... If you keep him up, he has such good draining with his W that he can keep alive along with the shields and Seraphine heal if she's using the empowered W on it, that she can just sit in the front lane or front of the team fight and not take any damage. They only got 1 kill and they got the dragon off of it, but that really wasn't enough to win them the game. And as we saw later on in that game, when they tried to fight without 5, they didn't have the damage to kill one of the players on 100 Thieves, and they ended up getting themselves picked. And with Hecarim gone and 100 Thieves start Baron, what can they do? They did have a decent team fight. It was a good attempt to stop the Baron, but without your horse, it's done for.
Yeah, Crumbs, I know you wanted to talk over this Baron play.
Yeah, and so it starts with 100 Thieves already committing to finishing it when you see that the Nidalee and Xayah are in the back of the Baron pit, but Immortals is now fighting 3 members in the river, and the Hecarim is on the way. The smite comes out early, and so I'm thinking Immortals can actually turn this if the Hecarim can make it, but they never thought this fight would really go this way because he still has his ultimate, has the ghost, and was just thinking that it was going to be a whitewash. It all started from that pick on the jungler, and no hesitation to start that Baron and take that fight.
Yeah, I think it was a good call by 100 Thieves for 2 reasons. 1, the smite's down, so they can't really try and smite steal it. And 2, as we said, Hecarim is the core piece of that comp. And so when he dies, you saw Joey go flying in as the Leona, but he didn't have his dive buddy. The rest of 100 Thieves could kind of kite back, and then like Lucian dashes in once, but there's no follow-up. So overall, really, really good game by 100 Thieves. And then after they got that Baron, it was a total stomp to close the game out.
Yeah, 100 Thieves when they are in control and with a lead. And they built a pretty monstrous one early on in this game. They closed it out without too much effort. So I do want to reframe towards Game 2. And Alorum, come back to you on the champion select point. As Immortals has elected to go to blue side, so we will be swapping sides of the Rift. What would you like to see? Because they did, in some senses, check those boxes of straightforward execution and team comp. But as you mentioned, it was single track. And once they got behind, they were kind of hurting for other options.
Well, I would like to say change up the comp, but I do agree that you should stick to those kind of simple comps, just straight up team fight, group 5, ARAM it down in ARAM it down mid, and try and win those team fights. As funny as that sounds, and as people meme that, it is not a terrible decision if you're trying to get a win in this kind of desperate situation. So I'd like to see it again. Just watch out for getting picked. A big thing in these is just you cannot get picked in your own jungle, which happened. And if you don't have 5, you cannot win.
One little thing I think they should also do is take a look at Twisted Fate, maybe ban it, get rid of it, have a better answer to it, because Damonte is going to continue to play this. He's done it all last year.
And his backup's Galio.
There you go.
In case you're wondering what's coming next.
There you go. There's a couple free ones for you, Immortals. Hopefully you're tuning into the analyst desk between your 2 games. We'll see if Immortals can pick up a win of their own when we return here for Game 2. We'll see you soon.
Your Honda MVP!
Dreams aren't achieved overnight. They take passion.
It's Mr. World 3.
Dedication. And even then, there are no guarantees. But for the LCS, that's the power of dreams.
Too bad!
It means you never give up. It means you always play again. Honda, proud automotive partner of the LCS.